What is up, guys? Doing another one down kooky build, and today we're taking a look at Dragan. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at what kind of stuff we're packing. We're using the Lion's Roar rifle, the Leo pistol, Dragan's cleaver knife, the Molotov cocktail, Infiltrator perk deck, lightweight ballistic vest, first aid kits. Let's go ahead and look at the mods that we're using on our weapons. Primarily, we are using the precision barrel, the bigger the better suppressor, accuracy boost, auto fire, military laser module, and the combat sight. And then for the Leo pistol, we're using the monolith suppressor, stability modifier, polymer flashlight, extended magazine, pistol red dot sight, and the long slide. Alright, now let's talk about the skills that I used. Of course, using uppers as our way to revive ourselves. Using Underdog Aced in order to accrue a little bit more damage reduction, in this case a 10% damage reduction. Getting Shock and Awe Aced so I have a more effective way to deal with shields, since neither of my weapons have shield penetration abilities. Increase the armor of my ballistic vest by 20. I'll discuss why I didn't pick up ICTV here in a minute. Probably during the gameplay. Nothing in Technician. Went ahead and picked up Shockproof Basic. Didn't have enough points to get it aced. Sad face. Went up and got Unseen Strike Ace so that I could have some crits running with this build, because this build suffered from a bit of kill power potential, but we'll talk about that during the actual gameplay. Got some pistol skills, of course, to assist the Leo a little bit, and went up and got Berserker and Frenzy, so not only could I have some extra damage reduction, but I could also have Berserker, and so I could, boost my weapon damage. Alright, and so now, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the gameplay. So, first and foremost, I want to mention that I do not think Infiltrator is a bad perk deck. I don't think it's one of the better perk decks. However, it is a usable perk deck, and it does have its major strengths. But we'll get to that here in a minute. Before we start actually talking about Infiltrator, I want to talk about what was the real limiter for this build. And in this particular build, it was really the weapon choice that I was using. You can make a very good, well, you can make an arguably much better Infiltrator build using superior weapons. When I say superior weapons, I actually want to draw less attention from the Leo. The Leo actually isn't a bad gun by any stretch of the imagination. With the appropriate pistol skills and damage, and damage boosts, the Leo actually is a very formidable weapon, much like the Gruber, as I discussed in my Houston build video a while back. A lot of the pistols are that aren't in the damage category of like the Bronco and the Deagle and the Baby Deagle, the White Streak and things like that, are actually kind of underlooked. Using them as crit machines or anything of the sort. They're very spammable weapons. They usually have pretty good ammo pickup rate, and they're just generally pretty solid weapons all around. And if you get, like I was saying, the appropriate damage skills, they actually reach, about 75% of a DMR damage. I mean, it takes a skill investment, but they're usable if you're looking to mix things up a little bit. So the Leo pistol is not. The Leo pistol is actually a pretty good choice as far as this build is concerned, which is why I'm using it. However, the counterpart that I'm using in this particular video, using the Lion's Roar rifle. The Lion's Roar, well, it's a piece of crap. That's really the best way I can put it. I'm sorry to anybody who likes the Lion's Roar rifle, who enjoys using it, or anything like that. However, there is nothing outstanding about this rifle on one down. It takes a hefty skill investment in order to make it barely functionable. The reload time is atrocious because it doesn't have any magazine boosts of any sort. You can't make the magazine bigger. You can't get a magazine that increases concealment or anything. You just are stuck with the plain old magazine, and it reloads horrifically slow. I was just talking about how it takes a skill investment to use the pistol appropriately. However, with the pistols, you still have, I don't know, the Lion's Roar just feels really, really bad, honestly. The ammo isn't that great for the amount you have to put out in order to kill enemies. The Lion's Roar just isn't a very good weapon all around, if you ask me. Did I make it usable? It's arguable. It took the combination of Unseen Strike, Berserker, and Silencer skills in order to get the most out of it. And originally I was using a Dragon's Breath Street Sweeper with this. I was going to be cute and call it a Dragon's Breath shotgun. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I decided to go against that because it was actually using really hard, or it was pretty hard to use the Lion's Roar as like the primary killing tool, so I needed the Lion's Roar as kind of a backup to the Leo for when I needed to switch to something with a little more hefty fire rate. But regardless, I even had Overkill aced so I could get the extra damage boost from that, but even then it still felt kind of subpar. You know, like I was saying, the reload is just not good and all that good stuff. I made it usable, as I was saying, but it could just be a lot better, to say the least. Leo definitely cleaned up the last bit of the dozer there. Did like freaking 3k damage or something like that. The pistols can reach an insane amount of damage with silencer skills, crits, and trigger happy. And they're kind of looked, not really down on, but I just think they're underlooked in a lot of ways. So now we'll go on to talking about Infiltrator itself. Infiltrator centers a lot around damage reduction, which of course that would lead you to assume that ICTV would be the best build for this, and it's quite possible that it is. However, in all the runs I was doing with my ICTV, I was having the hardest time. I went from heist to heist. I went from, gosh, I can't even tell you like all the different combinations of skills I was trying in order to make it work with the ICTV, and I was getting good damage reduction, except for the fact that heavy swats were still just completely and utterly annihilating my armor and my health. Heavy swats, of course, being the biggest fear that you probably have as far as standard units are concerned on one down. They will just utterly annihilate you if you're not ready. I actually wanted the taser to get me right here so that I could reload the Lion's Roar. That's how bad it is. That my one hatred, or my biggest hatred in this game, being tasers, I wanted them to tase me so that I could reload this dumb weapon. I did have shotgun, so I could kind of help push shields back. More so for the melee than either of these weapons, since the damage output from the weapons wasn't astounding enough to push back the enemies. Anyway, I resorted to using the LBV for mobility's sake so I could duck in and out of cover a bit faster, which actually helped me a bit more than you would think. And also, I was surprised at how much damage I was able to take when my armor was down and my health was exposed. Not from heavy swats, of course. Heavy swats was still just completely crap on me, just due to the amount of damage that they do at any range. However, even with the LBV on, as you saw there from the cloaker, both getting meleeed and getting shot, I was actually still able to withstand several hits, just wearing the LBV. However, dealing with dozers and heavy swats complicate things a little bit. You definitely have to adjust. Play super cover heavy. It probably would be better in that sense to use an ICTV, but even then you're still going to get one or two shot by, well, you're going to get one shot. Your armor, I'm sorry, will be one shot by dozers, or close to one shot. This is, of course, in the case of solo. You can make an argument that, well, if you're, taking into account liquid armor from armor, and you have somebody running crew chief, you can get a lot of extra bonuses, and coordinating with your team, yes. However, stupid shield. However, using for pure solo play, Infiltrator was definitely a little subpar. I was able to make it work to some extent, though. I still think it's arguable that I even made it work. One change you would have noticed is the fact that I'm not using converts on this build, and there's actually a reason for that. Here recently I've started playing without converts, just to kind of add a little bit of extra dynamic to the game, make it a true solo in that sense. Doesn't mean I'm going to be completely foregoing converts in the future on other builds and things like that. However, I just didn't feel like they were necessary for this, but decided to run away and try to, gosh, I just had some really lucky first aid kit placements. And so you look at the shields didn't obliterate me when my armor was down. Right there, you saw my health just kind of slowly dwindle, and I decided to gun it out here to get to the escape because I was so done trying to work with this build, to be completely honest with you. So anyway, there was my no downs run with Infiltrator and with Dragan as the character. So as usual, thank you guys so much for watching.